Bugle is a plant of shady places, typically wooded just like here on the banks of the Silver River near Cadamstown. The name, by the way, has nothing to do with the musical instrument. It comes from the scientific name for the plant. The scientific name is Ajuga reptans, and Ajuga is a corruption of the Latin vernacular word for the plant, which was bugula. The lovely Irish name for bugle is Lacerquilla, the flame of the woods. The other part of the scientific name, the reptans bit, Ajuga reptans is the scientific name. Reptans reflects its creeping habit. Reptans in Latin means creeping. It reflects its habit because the plant grows by means of creeping stems called stolons. Here's a good example. You can see these creeping stolons extending out in all directions, and these root and produce short stems and rosettes of little leaves at the end. And next year this will produce another flowering stem, and in the meantime the linking bits of the stolon will die away. So all of these flowering stems here are clones of the same parent. The flower colour is a highly distinctive shade of blue. In fact, this particular shade of blue is named for the flower itself. This colour is bugle blue. As well as the flowers, the leaves, bracts and stems all have a bluish tinge, like a shadow cast on them by the flowers, which are produced in clusters in the axils of the paired leaves. The pairs closely spaced on the flowering stem, and the clusters getting younger as you go up the stem. The flowers are typical of the mint family to which it belongs, bilaterally symmetrical, zygomorphic to use the technical term. There is a toothed calyx tube of 6 to 7 sepals and a prominent two-lobed lip here at the bottom of the blue corolla. The lip is bent down sharply in the middle, so that a visiting bee has to land on the upper part, directly under the anthers and stigma. On either side are two widely spreading lateral petals. The white lines and darker blue streaks on the lip and side petals are nectar guides. But there is one really significant difference between the flowers of bugle and those of more familiar members of the mint family, such as the dead nettles, for example. Bugle belongs to a select cohort in the family where the flowers have adapted themselves, have modified their structure to widen their appeal not just to bees, but to butterflies. Here, the hood is reduced to a pair of pointy ears, a deviation from the more typical hood of species like the dead nettles, and this is thought to be an adaptation to facilitate the visits of butterflies, though the main visitors are still bees. But it means that there is no hood to shelter the stamens and style in the more usual way. For shelter, the flower has to rely on the prominent overarching blue bracts. Before the flower opens, since there is no hood, the lip is folded all the way over the stamens and style, and the side petals are wrapped like two arms around it. The relative positions of anthers and stigma make self-pollination difficult in newly opened flowers, where the style rests on top of the filaments, so that the stigma is out of reach of the downward dehissing anthers. Later, however, the stigma moves forward and downward, so that it can now contact the head of a visiting bee or butterfly and pick up any pollen they may be carrying. Later still, should no visitors have arrived, the pollen masses adhering to the lower surface of the anthers readily come in contact with the stigma, which is at its most prominent in the flower at this stage, effecting self-fertilization. Bugle was one of the great vulnerary herbs, plants used to staunch the flow of blood, but it had a really wide range of other uses. It was used as a heart tonic, and used to treat a wide range of conditions such as bronchitis, gout, jaundice, mouth sores and ulcers, complaints of the liver and gall, regulating menstruation, a whole range of things. In fact, the great herbalist John Gerard, in his early 17th century Great Herbal, quoted a French saying that he hath no need of surgeon or physician who hath both sanicle and bugle. So it had a wide range of other conditions, but I'll finish by mentioning just two which are described in the healing manuals used by the hereditary physicians of early Ireland. You might remember that a short time ago we looked at golden saxifrage, and we learned that the medieval physicians thought that melancholia, or what we would call depression today, was due to overproduction of what they call black bile by the spleen. And the cure for this was golden saxifrage. Well, they also believed that an excessive black bile in the stomach caused uncontrollable hiccups. And the cure for that was bugle. And the other striking prescription in the healing manuals of the medieval physicians is short and pithy. So I'll read it for you. It's just a single sentence. Here we are. Glasar chuile, bugle in Irish. An libseo de cymelt ar fin, agus a tuairt de fel de na mi queenie agus I ke. If you dip bugle in wine and administer it to someone whose memory is failing, it will cure him. And since the young shoots were also eaten in salads, perhaps they might help as well.